Good morning. We open the class of 2020 commencement celebration with an invocation offered by the Reverend Eduardo Pathos Palma.
Class of 2020, welcome home. Although you were forced to leave these grounds in a hurry last time you were here, this place is still yours to call home. This is still the place that nurtured your love of the arts, sciences, history, languages, and government. This is still the place of that great last athletic season or the last final BOC hike. Bowdoin is where you selflessly and humbly learn to serve the common good in ways that honor your neighbors and center solidarity. Here, you learn to fight for justice, use your voice to advance the cause of democracy and human rights, and believe that things can improve when we work together to create more just and generous societies. Although the last 18 months have been challenging, they have also been the background in which you stood tall, became more adaptable, more creative, and found ways to thrive. You moved across the country and to different parts of the world. You got jobs, earned spots in grad schools, volunteered, joined the armed forces, became the first one to finish a 4-year degree in your family. In a season of great turmoil, this time has made you stronger, wiser, and better able to weather the storms that inevitably arise. As we gather today to celebrate your many accomplishments and strengths, we also pause to give deep thanks to those that came before us. The mothers, fathers, aunts, grandparents, and friends that raised us. The community that charted the path for us. The elders who resisted oppression and sacrificed it all for their grandchildren. The ancestral and indigenous peoples of these lands that have stewarded its water and soil for generations. Class of 2020, as you get ready to leave once again, may you go forth from this place with the same strength that has surrounded you and grounded you all of these years, with the same perseverance that got you this far. Go forth from this land with hearts full of joy and thanksgiving for the lessons and the wisdom acquired during your Bowdoin years. Go without fear of what's to come. Go forward towards making peace in every corner of our world. Go and live your life to the fullest, knowing that you can do hard things. Live your best possible life with the confidence that you have loved ones cheering for you at every stop. Go with open hearts and minds to welcome the sun, the rain, the cold, and the warmth. Maintain hope. Lean on one another. Learn from each other. Be gracious towards one another, and be kind to yourselves. May it be so.
The Star-Spangled Banner will be performed by former members of the chamber choir, chorus, and a cappella groups, with accompaniment by Joyce Moulton.
Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you for that beautiful, beautiful rendition. It's beautiful. Good morning on this beautiful day in August 2021, and welcome to the commencement celebration for the class of 2020. I'm Bob White, a member of the class of 19... I'm Bob White. Sorry. I'm a member of the class of 1977, chair of the Bowdoin College Board of Trustees, and a parent of a Bowdoin alumna class of 2015. While you all became officially graduates last May, we unfortunately couldn't hold our traditional in-person commencement celebration due to the global pandemic. So it's now time to celebrate. This morning we gather to honor you, the class of 2020, graduates of one of the most distinguished colleges in the world and the oldest college in Maine. In fact, our college is older than Maine itself, with an identity and history that's inexorably linked to this beautiful and extraordinary place. Walking this campus and living as a member of the Brunswick community for most of your 4 years are important and memorable parts of the Bowdoin experience. So it's custom for the college to invite a representative of the state to give greetings to you, our graduates. This morning, we have the privilege of hearing from Madeline Hassan of South Portland, Maine, known as Maddie to her friends, and to you, her Bowdoin 2020 classmates. An economics major and double major in economics, and education, Maddie's perhaps best known as a standout player on our women's basketball team. Wait till you hear this, though. Her final season, she scored 485 points, averaged 16.7 points per game, shot 61.7% from the field, led the team with 228 rebounds and 9 blocks, and was named first team All-American. But there's more. In 2020, Maddie was named the Women's Basketball Coaches Association Division III National Player of the Year. She was the first Maine native to ever get that award, and only the third Bowdoin player to ever do so. So Maddie says that her time on the team was the most important and meaningful experience during her time at Bowdoin. Through basketball, she was able to be part of something bigger than herself, she says, to consistently work toward long-term goals with her teammates, and to represent Bowdoin and to engage with the greater Brunswick community. Since last May, Maddie has been a Victory Scholar through the nonprofit Sports Changes Life. In September, she moved to Dublin, Ireland, to work toward a master's degree in international business management and to play professionally for the Timberlog Basketball Club, and to engage in community service with children in Dublin, primarily through coaching youth basketball. Next month, Maddie plans to move to Boston to begin a job as a financial representative at Fidelity Investments, and we may just have to have her talk to the Celtics. But this morning, we're fortunate to have Maddie here to give greetings from the state of Maine, so please join me in welcoming your classmate, Maddie Hassan.
Hello, friends and family. I'm honored to welcome you all to Maine and to our beautiful Bowdoin College campus. For the 400 or so of us who are gathered here to celebrate our graduation from Bowdoin today, it has been a long time waiting for this day to arrive. Many here today have not been back since leaving for an especially long spring break about 17 months ago now. As I have spent a number of those months at my family's home in South Portland, I have been back to campus a few times, but the past few days, reuniting with my classmates and celebrating our time at Bowdoin have been by far the most special. When I mentioned to a few of my friends that I would be delivering greetings from the state, multiple people responded, "Oh, that's perfect. You love bragging about Maine." It's true, I believe this place is incredibly special. I'm surely not alone in that feeling. During basketball season, we started our game days with a pregame shoot-around. We split into teams and competed against one another in shooting competitions. For many years, we had a strong contingent of team members born and raised in Maine, so it was an even split, Mainers versus out-of-staters. Over the years, the numbers shifted and we had to make some changes. We began by taking Taylor Choate. She was from New Hampshire. It was close enough. And we added Kay Kerrigan. Her family spends the summers in Old Orchard Beach. She was essentially from Maine. By my senior year, our Maine team was comprised of 3 Mainers, 2 from California, 1 from Washington State, and 1 from Colorado. Any collection of us could have made up the Maine team, though. That's the beauty of spending your college years in Maine and at a place like Bowdoin, so intertwined with the history and culture of the state. Despite having spent my whole life in Maine, I still had a lot to experience during my 4 years here. In truth, I've jokingly been told that I'm not a true Mainer because I'm from Southern Maine. I hadn't been north of Bangor until a weekend trip to Presque Isle my junior year. During my years at Bowdoin, I spent mornings at the giant stairs and fall afternoons on the water in Harpswell, dinners in Portland, and summer days with my teammates on Peaks Island. But my favorite 1-mile radius in the whole state remains this campus, and I'm so grateful to be gathered here with all of you. Over the past year, we've spread across the globe and returned to this spot. Come the end of the weekend, we'll all return to our lives in our locations scattered thousands of miles apart. But luckily for us, this wonderful place, this campus, and this state that we now share is a home that we can return to again and again, regardless of distance or time. Thank you.
Thank you, Maddie. That was fantastic. That was a three-pointer, no net. Right. All net. Right. All net. Close. So, welcome. It's amazing to have you all here, class of 2020. I have heard from so many of the faculty and staff over the last 36 hours how joyous it has been to have you back and the energy that we all feel for having you back on campus and to be able to properly come together and to celebrate. So welcome home. To our families and friends, welcome. To my colleagues and the faculty and the staff who are here today, welcome. And thank you. I want to thank the faculty and the staff for everything that you have done over the last 17 months. It has been an incredibly challenging time, and what you've done for our college and our students is breathtaking. I also want to welcome back a former colleague of mine from Harvard and a friend, Robin Smith, who is class of 05, Bowdoin College class of 05. Robin is reading the names today, and there was a joke I heard earlier that it takes 3 faculty members to do this at a normal commencement, and Robin's doing it by herself today. So, thank you. To state the blindingly obvious, it's quite humid this morning. We started an hour earlier, but we didn't beat all the heat. Our graduates have waters at your seats. For those who are families and friends, there are 2 water stations in the back. Please avail yourself of those if you feel like you need a drink of water. Now, this is the first time for our graduates that you've been back here, as Maddie said. To have you here as a community with faculty, staff, family, friends, alumni, is simply fantastic. We have 399 of the 485 members of the class here with us today, which is simply unbelievable. There are some who just couldn't be here. We miss them. Some are on Zoom coming in, and we wish you were here, but we're thrilled that you are here with us at this moment from wherever you are. I also want to take a moment just to acknowledge and to ask you to thank the members of the staff here who have made this possible. And there's so many that I'm only going to offer up 2 specific names, but the folks in dining, in student affairs, in housekeeping, in grounds, in setup, in communications have done just a remarkable job to appropriately celebrate your graduation from this great college. I also want to thank Tony Sprague and Michelle Morin for the amazing work that they've done. So to all of them, please give them a hand. Now, last year, you were all somewhere that was not here. And Eduardo and I sat here on an empty quad. Bob plugged in via live stream as you did, as we conferred our degrees upon you. And I shared with you then my advice that making the gift of nurturing the love of family and friends should be your highest priority. That this is the source of the greatest joy that you will find in your life. And for me, the events of the last year have only served to reinforce that. So class of 2020, today I would like to share with you another thought, and why, as I look out upon all of you, I am optimistic in a very troubled time. Over the course of our over 200-year history, there have been particular times when our graduates have entered a world that was incredibly challenging, different from what came before, and where great leadership, tenacity, and fortitude were required. The Civil War, World Wars I and II, the Depression, the Civil Rights era, the Vietnam War, all are the most obvious, I suspect. And to tell you what you already know, we again live in these times. And it is in each of these moments that our graduates have stepped forward in visible and many, many in less visible ways to make a difference, helping those around them, in their communities, at their institutions, and in the world to navigate the times and to move to a better place. They were able to do this in part because of the education and experience they received at Bowdoin from amazing faculty and staff, absorbing the knowledge that was imparted, honing the ability to think critically, to listen well, to engage with others who had differing views, to learn, to communicate, to collaborate. And as you know so well, this is what happens here. But more importantly, they were able to do this because this is who they are and were as people, anchored by the characteristics of smart, courage, compassion, commitment, kindness, and grace, and by a shared belief in serving the common good. And all of this is true for you. This is what you experienced here, and this is who you are. You graduated at a time of significant challenge, which, as you know, is an understatement. A climate emergency, a recognition that we have so much to do to create racial justice in our country, political, social, and cultural divides that are as stark as we have witnessed in many generations, and divisions that have raised serious questions about the direction of our democracy, and of course, the pandemic. In this moment, you've witnessed the best and the worst, great triumphs in science, great courage in the fight for racial justice, acts of incredible humanity and leadership, and on the flip side, acts of violence and hatred, heartbreak from lives unnecessarily and in some cases brutally lost, and bad decisions from those we entrusted with leadership. But you learn from these lessons, you're motivated by them, and they inspire you. So while we are again in very difficult times, a time with high stakes, I am optimistic. Not in a naive way where we'll wave a magic wand and it'll all be better or because it'll sort itself out. There's no magic wand and benign neglect will not work. But I am optimistic because I know you and I know what you can and will do. I've witnessed it firsthand when you were here, and I've seen it over the course of the last year in all that you have been doing. Class of 2020, keep doing it. What you do and will do will make the world a better place, and we need you. Congratulations on your graduation from Bowdoin, and thank you for what you bring to the world. It is now my great pleasure to introduce the first of our three graduates from the class of 2020 who have earned the privilege of sharing some of their thoughts with all of you today. And the first is Juliana Kylie, winner of the Dalva. Go, Juliana. Juliana is the winner of the Dalva Stanward Alexander First Prize. She majored in English and Education and minored in Hispanic Studies. During her time at Bowdoin, Juliana was a writing assistant, an Aspirations in Main Day Fellow, a Denning Fellow for the Telling Room, an intern with the Forrest Foundation, a board member for the Maine College Circle, a volunteer English language teacher for Learning Enterprises, and a teaching intern at the King Middle School. I don't know when you slept or ate, Juliana, but well done. She spent the last year in AmeriCorps teaching at the Talbot Community School in Portland, where she got to work with, in her words, the coolest, brightest, and kindest second graders. And since June, she's been interning at W.W. Norton's high school division, making travel plans and exploring courses that will prepare her for a career in education. Juliana credits Brock Clark's advanced fiction workshop with helping her to resist planning and follow her instincts. And her experiences on the Bowdoin swimming and diving team gave her a deeper belief in her own capabilities. Juliana also says that living in Burnett House her sophomore year was unexpectedly transformational, meeting people whose friendships have buoyed her through the rest of her time at Bowdoin and learning through this experience what it means to be a good friend. Juliana's address is entitled Signposts, and it is about learning to trust when you get lost that you will indeed find your way. Please join me in welcoming Juliana Kylie.
President Rose, members of the college, guests, and my nephew, Kevin. One of my greatest fears is getting lost. When I was 8 years old, my dad and I got lost in New York City on our way back to my grandma's house. I began the journey in high spirits, singing along to the Mary Poppins soundtrack and waving to strangers. But as the sky darkened and a storm rolled in, I grew afraid. 30 minutes passed, then an hour, then 2 hours. The rain was coming down in thick sheets. I began shaking with worry. What if we were out here, wandering forever? Desperate for some reassurance, I asked my dad, "Do you know where you're going?" He admitted, "No, we're lost, but we'll figure it out." And we did eventually. But in the back of my young mind, something still worried me. If even my dad, who knows everything, could get lost, then what hope did I have of avoiding this most dreaded feeling? Believe me, I have tried. I print out directions in case my GPS dies. I memorize maps. I follow signposts religiously. No surprise then that my favorite signpost is the one that reads all main points along I-95 North near Portsmouth. I love this signpost because it guarantees with 100% certainty that if I follow it, I will end up in Maine. And for me, Maine is synonymous with Bowdoin, a place where I built strong relationships, where I studied and worked and volunteered with a clear purpose, where I was sure of who I was. Every time I drove under that sign, I knew exactly where I was going. When I drove under the All Main Point sign last March to gather my things and evacuate campus, that sense of certainty was gone. My best friend was seated in the passenger seat beside me, both of us silent, struggling to process this abrupt end to our college experience. The wide open space of the road before us did not feel exhilarating. It felt scary. We, the class of 2020, have had the unique experience of stepping into our, into our uncertain futures before formally graduating from Bowdoin. We have had to unmoor ourselves from our college lives and move forward without knowing exactly where to go next. On that final, frightening drive up to Brunswick, I realized that I was looking for signposts that would tell me where I was going, when I should have been paying attention to those that remind me of who I am. That friend in the passenger seat has been a signpost for me, pointing me toward honesty, loyalty, and above all, integrity. The friends I made at Bowdoin, friends I know I can count on for years to come, inspire me to live fully and fearlessly as myself. We will keep showing up for each other, no matter how far we may stray from molten Lightroom. My backpack with its residue of chlorine is a signpost, reminding me to stay grateful. Competing on the swim team at Bowdoin taught me that when I am overcome with anxiety, I need only sink into the water, my body, my breathing to ground myself. It is here, in the present, where I find gratitude. The countless notebooks that I filled over my 4 years at Bowdoin are signposts, challenging me to make connections. Studying under professors who bring passion and humanity to their work taught me that to be intellectually fearless is not to know all the answers, but to ask the right questions. When I do this, I come to see the many ways we are all connected. Working in the McKean Center for the Common Good taught me that through connections built on trust, respect, and understanding, I can put my learning into meaningful action. Integrity, gratitude, and connection. My time here has been fundamental in forming these inner directions I will rely on for the rest of my life. Bowdoin has helped us all erect our own signposts that will remind us of who we are whenever we feel lost. We may not always know where we are going, but we can trust that we will figure it out. Thank you.
Thank you, Juliana. That was fantastic. I'm now pleased to introduce Mamadou Joof. Someone clearly not well known to anyone in the audience today. Today's second commencement speaker, the winner of the class of 1868 prize. Mamadou is a sociology major, earth and oceanographic science minor. He served on the Res Life staff here for 3 years, and he credits that time for developing leadership skills and increasing his self-confidence. He served in the Bowdoin student government and was part of the entertainment board that helped bring artists to campus. The son of Senegalese immigrants, he is from Harlem. He currently works at Fidelity Investments as an associate in the 18-month rotational program for emerging leaders, so the two of you will have some things to talk about. As a passion project, and I can attest to this, it's quite remarkable, he started his own podcast called the Impact Podcast, in which he interviews people from different backgrounds about how they make an impact in their fields. The motto for the podcast is, leave an impact wherever you go, no matter the scale, as long as you are making yourself and those around you better every day. Sounds like the common good, Mamadou. With proceeds from his podcast's merchandise line, swag is critical, Mamadou helps support the Innocence Project, a nonprofit legal organization committed to exonerating those who've been wrongfully convicted. Mamadou will share with us today his talk, The Rubber Band Ball of Life. Please join me in welcoming Mamadou Joof.
President Rose, members of the college, and guests. Growing up, I loved to create. It did not matter what I had near me. I always found a way to make something out of almost anything. Imagine the tallest stack of Legos or Jenga blocks that would become skyscrapers reaching the ceiling, or a spaceship made from paper clips and erasers. While I might not have always succeeded in fulfilling all my crazy ideas, at the very least, I always carried an unfailing sense of determination. When I was creating, there was one rule I lived by. No matter what I was making or what the outcome was, if I crafted until my heart was content, I could achieve anything. I remember my teacher in 3rd grade, Ms. Carrasquillo. She would always have the most amazing items on her desk. One day while I was doing classwork, a particular object caught my attention. It was a huge rubber band ball. I was completely awestruck. After seeing all the vibrant colors combined into one, I decided to satisfy my curiosity and ask my teacher how I could make one. Without hesitating, she kindly taught me 2 simple steps and gave me a bag of rubber bands to take home. The first step in creating a rubber band ball is making a core. Without the starting foundation, it will be impossible to wrap the rubber bands around, so you bundle up a couple of rubber bands, hold them together, and your core is set. The second step is then taking the rest of your rubber bands and wrapping them around your core. Continue to overlap the rubber bands, and then, ta-da, you have a rubber band ball. You might be wondering why I'm speaking about an object that I used to make when I was a kid. And as I reflect on my fascination with this rubber band ball, I've come to one conclusion. Creating a rubber band ball is very similar to how we craft our lives. I say this because our beings are similar to the core of the rubber band ball. Both are a testament to our individuality and one of the most fundamental pieces of what makes each of us different. From your musical taste to your stance on Thorn or Molten, your core is fundamentally you, and it's made up of all these bands of our experiences. For some of us, a significant experience band was getting into college. You can all probably recall the exact moment when you received the joyous news that you'll be attending Bowdoin College. Other experience bands may have been late nights chatting at Smith Union with friends, getting gelato with your Bowdoin host family, or even just pretending to do work on the quad on a beautiful sunny day. And if any of you claim that you're able to get work done on a nice day on the quad, I will just assume that you're lying. Regardless, the friends that became family, finding our chosen communities, and gaining exposure to our academic circles were all reasons why we came to Bowdoin. And our quest to add great experience bands was our driving force. College was confusing, but no matter what experiences we had or what the outcome was, we all continued crafting until our hearts were content. While there were many first and great times, there were also tough moments while navigating Bowdoin. Imposter syndrome probably ravaged many of us, which is the feeling that you're not capable or good enough even when you are. That feeling tainted many parts of my experience bands while at Bowdoin. And even more excruciatingly difficult for me was losing one of my best friends, Max, who passed away. Another band marked by confusion and sadness. And without a doubt, the COVID-19 pandemic impacted all of us in countless ways that forced us to pivot quickly and do our best to persevere. Through all these difficulties, many of us could have easily neglected the crafting of our rubber band ball of life. But instead, we embraced it and carried on. With our rubber band ball of life, it is important to remember that your core will always be intact. Your core is what is holding all those great and not so great experience bands together. And while there may be those negative experience bands that we would rather throw away, some of those bands may still be helpful for our own learning and growth. We have the power to determine which of those negative bands will be useful in crafting our future stories. Our experiences help shape us, and there will always be an unwavering core that holds each of us together and makes us truly unique. As we continue to expand and grow our rubber band ball of experiences beyond Bowdoin, remember that you're not alone. I hope we all as a Bowdoin community continue to expand each other's rubber band ball of life, because I'm certain something amazing will come out of it for everyone. At the end of the day, you are who you are. And whenever you might feel doubt or uncertainty, remember that no matter the outcome, if you keep crafting until your heart is content, you can achieve anything. Thank you.
Thank you, Mamadou. That was fantastic. To continue the sports analogy, we're batting 3 for 3, so James, the pressure's on here, man. Our third and final speaker this morning, the winner of this year's Goodwin Commencement Prize, is James O'Shea. James majored in biology, focusing particularly on ecology, evolution, and marine biology, and he earned a minor in environmental studies. Over this past very unusual year, he has occupied himself in a variety of ways, working as a park ranger, a pizza chef, and a substitute teacher, and found time to walk in the woods looking for birds and moths and salamanders. This fall, he will become a high school biology teacher. He also plans to continue working on his watercolor illustrations and salamander identification skills in the hope of someday creating the next great guide to the North American salamanders. As an undergraduate, James says one of his most meaningful experiences was spending a summer at the Bowdoin Scientific Station on Kent Island. Living on the remote island in the Bay of Fundy, surrounded by seabirds and wildlife, he said, was truly unparalleled. He developed a particular attachment to the Leach's storm petrel, which remains his favorite bird. And it is not surprising, therefore, to learn that as a student he was president of the Huntington Bird Club. He also studied painting with Professor of Art Mark Wetley, an experience, he says, that fundamentally changed his relationship with art and how he sees the world. James's address is called Living in Raven's World, and it draws on his love of art, literature, and the natural world. Please join me in welcoming James O'Shea.
Yes, for those of you who know me, you may be unsurprised to find that I will be delivering a bird speech today. It's a bit off character. President Rose, members of the college, and guests. Each spring, including last one, at around the time when the leaves of the oaks that encircle this quad begin to unfurl, a pair of ravens, Corvus corax, would nest in the trees along my walk back to Pine Street Apartments. Ravens are one of those few birds known to practically all of us, like crows, but larger, maybe more ominous. The staying power of ravens in our mind is likely connected to their place in the myths of humanity across our world, a creature of importance to the Tlingit, the Haida, pagan Europe, Bhutan. The raven, first to venture out from the ark to the Diluvian world, has been handed along, mouth to mind to mouth, for tens of thousands of years at the least. Mirroring the Greeks and Prometheus, Haida poets tell of how Raven stole the light and gave it to humans. The raven's ubiquity in myth and human thought is due, in some part I think, to Raven's own storytelling abilities. Speaking a language of sorts only partially probed by ornithologists, composed of hundreds of sounds, croaks, knocking, gurgling, the showing of love, comforting young, saying, I am here, so are you, watch out for danger, and other things that we haven't come close to saying ourselves. When heard after hours in HL, grinding out lab reports, or walking back from Moulton after waiting 45 minutes in the bibimbap line, they seem to say, there is more here, there is magic, there are things you can't know. And these messages, though inspiring, were hardly appreciated by me at the time, falling asleep and getting up the next morning at 5 to keep writing. I'm sure all of you can relate. But here we are, after the fact, no longer cranking out papers or staring blankly at figures in an Orgo textbook. We have been set loose, but set loose into what? A world, it seems, that is beginning to look a lot more like the world known in those same myths as the Raven. One, all too often, racked by fires, floods, famine, and plagues. Living now has started to take on the feeling of living inside the old stories. If ever there were a time in our history that best reflected the final devouring of existence by the world serpent at Ragnarok, then this, unfortunately, might be it. So, what do we do with this? What do we do with any of this? This isn't just about climate change or the politics of migrancy. It is about that, don't get me wrong, but it's also about ourselves and how we understand our place in a world where we hope to live meaningful lives as we leave this place. Perhaps the best answers I've come across so far were in those ancient stories, not the ones of war and great battles and the killing of enemies, but the kind of stories that come from a careful listening to what the rest of the world says when you finally give it a chance to speak for itself. And I think this is what's meant by Raven giving us light. The stories about Raven are very much stories about listening to ravens, to seeking meaning in the inimitable marching of seasons, the singing of frogs, the falling of leaves, and, importantly, also in friends, in our families, in conversations with strangers, for they are all a part of this too. In our years here at Bowdoin, I'd like to think we've gotten pretty good at listening, but there's always more listening to be done, and maybe in ways that are still yet unfamiliar to us. If we are living in Raven's world, then it is time for us to listen now more than we have in a very long time, and start learning again, not for grades or degrees, but for teaching ourselves how to live in this world fraught with both problems and beauty. There is so much more here. There is magic to know. And it is time that we take in our hands all that we've learned here at Bowdoin to help us now understand what it all is and how all of it and ourselves can be saved. And after we've listened, and I mean really listened, for a long time, maybe we too can again learn to speak in a way more reminiscent of the croaking of ravens that live in those pines on the far end of campus. Thank you.
Okay, 4 for 4. Let's give a hand to all 4 of our student speakers. Momentarily, I'm going to ask the chair of our board, Bob White, to come to the podium to begin the process for conferring our honorary degrees on our 4 amazing honorands today. I just want to make the point that while all of you received your degrees last May, our 4 honorary degree candidates have been waiting 17 months to have their honorary degrees conferred upon them. Bob?
Thank you, Clayton. Mr. President, the President and Board of Trustees have voted 4 honorary degrees to be awarded in accordance with the authority vested in you by the board. So as Chair of the Board of Trustees, I have the honor to present for the degree of Doctor of Science, Edward P. Ames.
Ted Ames has been a commercial fisherman, scientific researcher, educator, and advocate for marine conservation and sustainable fisheries in the Gulf of Maine. Ted grew up on Vinyl Haven Island in a fishing family and fished for over 50 years, lobstering, tub trawling for cod and haddock, gill netting, shrimping, and scalloping. After high school, he served in the U.S. Navy and later earned a master's degree in biochemistry at the University of Maine. After teaching for a few years, Ted returned to the sea and fished until groundfish stocks collapsed in the mid-1990s. At that time, he set out to understand the decline of fish stocks and what could be done about it. Ted was uniquely qualified, being both a fisherman and a scientist. He began by interviewing older fishermen up and down the coast and tapping into their knowledge of groundfish populations and behavior. Over their lifetimes, fishermen accumulate a wealth of ecological knowledge that has seldom been appreciated by the scientific community. What Ted came to realize is that, contrary to the prevailing view of fisheries managers, groundfish in the Gulf of Maine did not comprise a single large population, but instead occurred in small, localized stocks, which once depleted were not replaced by recruitment from adjacent areas. This insight has profound implications for fisheries management because data collected over an immense area can mask local extinctions, and rules designed for a large spatial scale do not necessarily work at a small scale. After decades of Ted's determined effort, fisheries managers are at long last beginning to accept his conclusion that achieving sustainable fisheries will require management at the appropriate ecological scale. In 2005, Ted's efforts were recognized with the MacArthur Fellowship. Numerous accolades followed. In 2010, Ted joined the Bowdoin community as our RUSAC Coastal Studies Scholar in Residence. He lives in Stonington with his wife, Robin Alden, herself a prominent member of the marine conservation community. Together, they founded the Maine Center for Coastal Fisheries as a boundary organization, promoting dialogue among fishermen, fishing communities, managers, and scientists. President Rose, on behalf of the college, I am honored to present Ted Ames for the degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa.
Edward P. Ames, by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I now confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa. Ted, and there's your degree.
As Chair of the Board of Trustees, I have the honor to present for the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, Deborah Jensen Barker.
Deborah Jensen Barker, educational advocate, philanthropist, community leader and volunteer, and proud Bowdoin alumna and parent. We honor you today for your long record of service to the college, your tireless work on behalf of several charitable organizations, and your dedication to making higher education accessible to students from diverse backgrounds. Your service to Bowdoin began as an undergraduate when you were class secretary and treasurer, a senior class admissions interviewer, and a member of the Student Judiciary Board. You graduated in 1980 cum laude with a double major in mathematics and Romance languages. After your graduation, you remained tightly connected to your alma mater. You served on the Alumni Council, as a gift planning agent for your class, and as a member of Bravo, the Bowdoin Regional Admissions Volunteer Organization. You also went on to earn an MBA from Harvard University and worked as a managing director in investment banking for Prudential Securities. In 1999, you began your 20 years of service on Bowdoin's Board of Trustees. As a trustee, you co-chaired the steering committee for the Bowdoin campaign, which concluded in 2009 and raised $293 million, over $100 million of which went toward financial aid. In 2013, you became the first woman in the college's history to serve as chair of Bowdoin's Board of Trustees. You have also given generously of your time, talent, and resources to many organizations, especially those dedicated to supporting and funding the education of motivated young people. You serve as a trustee of New Jersey Seeds, an organization that prepares high-achieving low-income students for admission to private schools and colleges, and the Student Partner Alliance, another New Jersey nonprofit that provides tuition assistance and mentoring to urban high school students with an eye towards increasing their chances for college admission and scholarships. Through the Student Partner Alliance, you helped pay tuition and mentored students at the Chad Science Academy in Newark, New Jersey, seeing them through to graduation and off to college. Describing your Chad mentoring experiences, you noted, quote, "I saw how little time and energy it took to make a difference in their lives," end quote. You went on to serve as a volunteer college counselor at Chad for 10 years. 95% of your students went on to college. As you explained at the 2012 Bowdoin Scholarship Appreciation Luncheon, quote, "It has never been more important to get a college degree, and yet never has access to college been so financially challenging," end quote. Underscoring your commitment to accessibility, you and your husband, Randy, established the Barker Family Scholarship Fund in 2008, which has provided and will continue to provide financial assistance to Bowdoin students for years to come. President Rose, on behalf of the college, I am honored to present Deborah Jensen Barker for the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa.
Deborah Jensen Barker, under the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I present you with the degree Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa.
As chair of the Board of Trustees, I have the honor to present for the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, Ann M. Fudge.
Anne Marie Fudge, groundbreaking executive, business icon, philanthropist, we honor you today for your extraordinary vision, successes, and myriad contributions to the common good. Raised in Washington, D.C. by parents devoted to education and Catholic school nuns who held you to the highest of standards, you made a commitment early in life to excel in areas where women and minorities were lacking, and to create, for those who followed, spaces in which to thrive. You graduated with honors from Simmons College in 1973, but we are so proud to note that you spent a year attending classes at Bowdoin as part of your education. You went on to earn an MBA from Harvard Business School in 1977, and from there, glass ceilings and concrete walls did not stand a chance in the face of your talents and strength. You have elevated and inspired so many individuals and communities with your expertise, dedication to your missions, generosity, and perhaps uncommon in the corporate world your kindness. In your career, you quickly rose to the role of Director of Marketing for General Mills, and a few years later became the president of a large division of Kraft General Foods, managing hugely successful companies. In 1998, you were named one of the most influential women in American business by Fortune magazine, and later, you would receive an Alumni Achievement Award from Harvard Business School and a Lifetime Achievement Award from Ebony magazine, among many, many other recognitions for your leadership. Your innovations in marketing and communication, your Blue Sky Room team collaboration method, and so much else have long made you one of this country's premier business people and role models. In 2001, you kept your promise to yourself that you would retire at age 50 and spend more time with your two sons and wonderful husband, the Bowdoin graduate, Rich Fudge. And you began volunteering at educational and community organizations such as the Boys and Girls Clubs of America, the United Way, Executive Leadership Council, a nonprofit group of African American business leaders. But your retirement turned into a sabbatical, and a few years later, you became the CEO and chairperson of the renowned global market communications company, Young and Rubicon, in 2003. Even with a more than full plate, your work for the common good continued as you served on financial and foreign policy boards in the Obama administration, chaired boards such as those for Boston's WGBH and the Gates Foundation's US programs, and held leadership roles in the Brookings Institution, the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History, Novartis, Unilever, GE, Infosys, and more. You have been a trustee of Morehouse and Simmons colleges, and you have established scholarship programs for Black women at historically Black colleges and universities, an endowed chair at Harvard Business School, and other student scholarships, such as the Fudge Family Scholarship at your Bowdoin College, for which we thank you immensely. In a recent interview, you noted that we can truly affect change in this world by coming together as human beings, stepping beyond our fears, opening our minds, listening to young people, and talking. You have always done this, seismically changing the landscape of the corporate and philanthropic worlds for women, BIPOC, and all of us through your brilliance, wisdom, and profound compassion. President Rose, on behalf of the college, I am honored to present Anne Marie Fudge for the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa.
Anne M. Fudge, by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I confer upon you the degree Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa.
And finally, as Chair of the Board of Trustees, I have the honor to present for the degree of Doctor of Laws, William F. Lee.
William F. Lee, child of immigrants from China, you have devoted your life to fighting for equity and opportunity for all. You have called yourself an anchor baby, as your birth helped your parents, who were facing deportation proceedings, make a life in the U.S. Calling discrimination something I have lived, you have described an early memory of your future neighbors in Philadelphia voting to lift a restrictive covenant designed to keep the neighborhood white. Education has long been important to you, and after earning a Harvard BA and an MBA and JD from Cornell, you became the first Asian American lawyer in Boston. Your leadership on high-profile technology and intellectual property cases, most famously in the Apple smartphone wars, has influenced everything from internet security and remote data storage to high-speed chromatography and medical devices. After becoming one of the top trial lawyers in America, you became the first Asian American to lead a major American law firm. Your diverse legal team successfully defended Harvard University against complaints of racial discrimination in its admissions policy, in what many call simply the affirmative action case. You have also investigated racial bias in the Massachusetts criminal courts and served on the independent counsel's team for the federal government in the Iran-Contra investigation. Again and again, you have called not only for a careful review of all the evidence, but also for generous listening to diverse perspectives. Repeatedly recognized by your peers as one of the most influential lawyers in America, you have also modeled close engagement with your alma mater, serving as senior fellow of the Harvard Corporation and teaching in the law school. You are an elected member of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences. With your wife, Leslie, you are father to 3 children and grandfather to 5. As a proud parent of my beloved Chris Lee, class of 2000, you are a generous and valued part of the Bowdoin family as well. With thanks for your work in recognizing how diversity opens a path to leadership for all, Bowdoin is proud to award you the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa.
William F. Lee, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa. Bill. All right, you ready? So, class of 2020, assurgite, which means we stand. I just want to make a quick comment that unlike the graduation we would have had in May of 2020, there's been no rehearsal. But since you're now Bowdoin graduates for over a year, you don't need a rehearsal. So that section, assurgite, is the only section of Latin that we would normally, that applies in a normal commencement, that literally applies today, asking you to stand. The rest of the language, which I used last year, goes into officially conferring upon you your degrees. And you're, of course, not receiving them for a second time. But I would like to go through the formality, since this is very much of an academic ceremony and is very much celebrating the amazing work that you all did here over your time as students. So, one more time. Bob, you ready? I'm ready. All right. Homo honorandus, osque juvenis, cos sensio idoneus primum ad gradum in artibus, nuc tibia ferro, utite instructus, eus ad grandum istum admittum. Placet ne? Pro auctoritate mihi commissa admitto vos ad primum gradum in artibus, et dono, et concedo omnia iura, privilegia honoris atque dignitates ad grandum istum pertinentia. In cuius testimonium haec monera accipite. Let us begin.
Julian David Abaldo. Danielle Rose Abrams. Ishani Agarwal. Fiona Rose Ahern. William Park Aiken. Audrey Francis Itelli. Sabrina Albanese. Eliana Jeanette Albright. Nicolás Aldeanueva. William Thomas Allen. Amy Catherine Ahn. Nelson Andrade Pacheco. Jean-Baptiste Andre. Summers Askew. Dylan David Atencio. Claudia Mary Babcock. Catherine Brownell Bacall. Carolyn Taylor Bailey. Sienna Brooke Balance. Amanda Benasiak. Alexander John Banbury. Anna Patterson Barnes. Jacob Bernard Baskus. Luke Coftry Basler. Anne Pauline Basu. Emma Catherine Bean. Graham Russell Bendixson. George Benz. Marie Marjorie Bergsund. Bethany Burhanu. Rebecca Leah Tabachnik Berman. Allegra Margaret Bersani. Emma Victoria Bertke. Emma Bazilla. Grace Ann Bilodeau. Lindsay Grace Vendra. Noelle Seablum Blackford. Nathan Osiason Blum. Itza Marielos Bonilla Hernandez. Clara Isabel Lascarine Booker. Nicola Vickery Bothwick. Benjamin Michael Bousquet. Alexandra Rose Breyer. Sam Brillweil. L. Anna Brine. Joshua Yuri Brooks. Patrick Joseph Broughton. David Michael Brower. Christopher Franklin Brown. Michael Anthony Brown, Jr. Grace Louise Bukowski Thal. Edward Myron Burdo. Oh, excuse me, pardon me, Edward Myron Bull IV. Devin William Burdo. Charles Mitchell Burton Caligari. Beatrice Cabrera. Manlio Jonathan Calenti. Christian Gerald Capello. Sarah Sidney Kaplan. Fiona Elizabeth Ham Carey. Claire Ellen Cargis. Havana Maria Casso Dozenbet. Marie Sandra Caspard. David Patrick Cast. Katie Castillo. Carmen E. Caterina. Grace Louise Caudry. Drew Walker Chamberlain. Jane Jihei Chang. Nathaniel Jadi Chang. Claudine Teresa Chartouni. Michael Chen. Rita Chen. Cameron Guy Chertavian. Catherine Chi. Anastasia Malia Christ. Andrew Henry Clark. Brennan Scott Clark. Tori Clark. Michael Ralph Klopsy. Jessica A. Cloutier. Zachary John Coddington. Adam Zaya Cohen. Emily Ann Cohen. Jared Lyndon Cole. Maya Rachel Coleman. Hannah Isabel Robertson Kahn. Nicholas Patrick Conway. Laura Danielle Cooper. Jonas Guadalupe Cortez. Ida Francis Cortez. Julie Anna Katisha. Anthony N. Couture. Cole Woodside Crawford. Jake S. Crossman. Luis Enrique Cuervo. Ian Gelchin Colnane. Annie Curtis Dyke. Huma Ayaz Dadachanji. Caroline Louisa Daigle. Victor Albert Dankins. Gwen A. Davidson. Jean Nichols Davis. Nathaniel Allen Deacon. Luca Peter DeAngelis. William Howard DeBrunkops. Shannon Patricia Delaney. Nathaniel Isaiah de Moranville. Jacob Leon Dexter Meldrum. Mamadou Joof. Sined Diaz. Miguel Diaz Segura. Killian Noah Dixon. Boris S. Dimitrov. Samuel Parker Dodge. Finn Lee Doherty. William Stewart Donaldson. James Michael Donlin III. Michael Gerard Donnelly, Jr. Hannah Claire Donovan. Connor Jeffrey Downs. Caroline Ann Dranow. Douglas Daniel Dubosky. Thomas Watkins Dunleavy. Jesse Dunn. Madeline Rose Dupre. Aaron Morgan Earl. Samuel Hunter Edwards Kuhn. Kevin James Elk. Laura Allison Elliott. Ashley Renee Ellis. Tristan Robert Filardo. Yvonne Fong. Caroline Brown Farber. Anna Eugenia Favre. Grace Ann Finwick. Stephen Ferraro. Jordan Atue Ferraris. Christian Russell Filter. Kara Patrice Finnerty. Connor John Fitzgerald. Caroline Mackenzie Flaherty. Margaret Caitlin Ford. Elizabeth Fossler Jones. Connor Fontaine Fouché. Risa Elizabeth Fox. Thomas Barzilay Freund. Jessica Elaine Friedman. Sophie Bell Friedman. Theodore Walter Gadsby. Lucia Weatherby Gagliardone. Drew Frederick Gagnon. Morgan Doyle Gallagher. John David Galusha. Cirque Gamelin. Theo Basil Gardner Pushak. Graham Douglas Gosden. Patrick Nolan Geary. Chandler Merle G. Caleb Matthias Geitz. Joshua Charles George. Augustus Buck Gilchrist. Olivia Catherine Giles. Jeanette Gilly. Maxwell William Ginsberg. Eskadar Asifa Gurmash. Tala Bloon Taline Glass. Angela Goldstein. Reuther Sean Gonzalez. Emily Bree Gonzalez. Christian Gostout. Joseph Thomas Goetsky. Diana Catalina Grandes. Isabella Catherine Marty Gray. Bridget Elizabeth Greed. Stephen J. Green. Rebecca Marie Greenspan. Alexandra Langley Gross. Diego Rafael Grossman. Elizabeth Conger Growney. Katerina Marie Grumman. Luis Miguel Guerrero. Abigail Grace Grajolo. Ellen Ama Echa Jesse. Evan Hideyoshi Kawika Haynes. Francesca Beth Allegrado Haynes. Charlotte Marie Hall. Eric Lawrence Hall. Praise Hall. Isabel Grace Halle. Samuel Halpert. Anna Claire Hamilton. Sarah Margaret Hansen. Samuel Auden Harder. Brianna Suzanne Harker. Aaron Harris. Michael Russell Harris. Riley James Harris. Jackson Niall Harrower. Alana Joy Haslam. Madeline Sarah Hassan. Dylan Alexander Hayton Ruffner. Roger Matthew Heidgerken. Marina Claire Hankey. Catherine Jean Henneberger. Matthew William Henry. William Wolf Herman. Sebastián Cruz Hernandez. Lauren Nicole Hickey. Joseph Campbell Hillary. Amani Ashanti Height. Lila Arthur Hitzig. Kate Elizabeth Hoadley. Bridget Hoke. Erin Elizabeth Hollenbach. Samuel Julian Alexander Honegger. Benjamin David Hopkins. Danielle Francoise Horn. Danny Paul Hove. Laura Hazel Christina Howells. Sabrina Dakota Hunt. Sebastian Niba Hunter Sujet. Theodora Kristen Hurley. Junyoung Huang. Nicole Elizabeth Irving. Louisa Florence Isidorchek. Ava Joseph Jackson. Peter Thomas Jacobson. Daniel Jang. Gianni Nicholas Yankee Demuzio. Shin Zhang. Silvia Jimenez Gonzalez. Charlotte Johnston. Lily Moore Johnston. Thomas Darlington Jones IV. Hannah Louise Jorgensen. Jessica Rose Joseph. Sasha Jovanovic. Harry Jung. Isaac Ntumba Kabwika. Artur Kalendarov. Rachel Njele Colombo. Jacob Solman Cosme. Noah Silverman Keats. Seamus Courtney Keenan. Matt McLucky Keller. Emma Dorothy Kellogg. Catherine Eleanor Kelly. Cynthia Owasi Kelsey. Devin Kennedy. Erica Sophia Keem. Juliana Lenoff Kylie. Elijah Brian Koblan Huberson. Gabriella Ann Koenig. Alexander Noah Kogan. Sarah Bridget Burns Conifal. Hannah Dunn Conkle. Edward Lee Corando. Caroline Norton Cranefus. Leah B. Cradaville. Rohini Kurup. Kenneth Nicol Lamb. George Samuel Langan. Emma Reddington Lowry. Zachary C. LeBlanc. Alexander Lee. David Michael Mugford Lean. Catherine Ingrid Leininger. Sophia Lynn Limmer. Anais M. Leroy. Ronald Paul Leston. Colby John Lewis. Luke Vincent Lockwood. Caitlin Alexandra Loy. Rebecca Jane Londoner. Julius Kent Long. Margot Lopez Martinez. Uriel Lopez Serrano. Betty Nerland Lewis. Marshall Ellen Lowry. Michelle Liu. Andrew Taylor McDonald. Brenda Macias. Marina Jan Mackinnon. Samuel Mills Maddox. Gabrielle Rose Maffezoli. Eric Christopher Ma. Julia Mahmoudi. Peter Hayden Mansfield. Christopher John Marcus. Anna Elise McDermott Martins. Leah Matari. Kate Seeger McAloon. Emmy May McCabe. Maria Teresa McCarthy. Eleanor Crudgington McCole. Hadley Catherine McCollister. Samuel Chapman McDowell. Alice Rose McFadden. Sonora Amy McGill. Anne Aiello McKee. Enrique Mendia. Acadia Elizabeth Mezzofanti. David Adams Michelson. Eliana Mariel Miller. Justin Corey Miller. Samuel Atwood Wilson Milligan. Ural Singh Mishra. Talia Danielle Misson. Stephen Edison Kazumi Miyawaki. Uratile Monkai. Eugene Moon. Elise Claire Morano. Alana Ajane Morrison. Kathleen Louise Morrison. Olivia Hurwitz Moreau. Claire Elise Murphy. Audrey Jean Moscato. Faria Amani Nasruddin. Ang Ming Mina Nguyen. Phoebe Reed Nichols. Sarah Wicks Nichols. Tyler Reed Nussenow. Monica Price Nyland. Russell Rabson O'Brien. John Patrick O'Connor. Paige Emmanuel O'Connor. Mohammed Ali Ode. Emily Rebecca Oleski. Emily Angela Olick Yano. Alana Ray Olin. Jason Wade Oliver. Shayna Sakura Olson. Michael Christopher O'Neill. Octavio Orozco Ibarra. James Larkin O'Shea. Luca David Joseph Ostertag Hill. Eleanor Nellie Johanna Pasha. David Pachter. Julio Cesar Palencia. Jacob Davidson Palmer. Camilla Papadopoulou. Raina Nasine Parker. Will Jeffrey Parker. Justin Patel. Rihanna Jamin Patel. Harrison Edward Pellerin. John Hunter Holden Pennock. Caleb Luis Perez. Rebecca Perez Bernal. Tessa True Peterson. Paula Carolina Petit Molina. Mackenzie Christine Philbrick. Anna Ty Piermont. Morgan Miller Pinado. Claudia Song Poe. Jared Rafferty Pryor. Brendan Harold Pulsifer. Angel Ramirez. Amber Ellie Ramos. Travis Wendell Race. Benjamin Ray. Jake Murray Redinger. William Jackson Reed. Thomas Patrick Regan. Megan Montserrat Retana. David Reeves Reynolds, Jr. Ivy Bowen Ricka. Nathaniel Richam Adoy. Aisha Sadia Kim Rickford. Amanda Nicole Rickman. Darius Dwight Riley. Cecile Brennan Roach. John Cadmus Rogers. Diego Rodriguez. Julia Sarah Shiner Rode. Annie Carly Rose. Samantha Elisa Roy. Ronwell Moises Rugama Montenegro. Catherine Patrice Rusk Cosa. Allison Elizabeth Rutz. Lucia Pilar Ryan. Matthew George Porter Safford. Salim Ayman Salim. Elizabeth Keating Sands. Nikolai Brennan Sands. Eleanor Jyoti Sapat. Nicholas Harrington Sarney. Margaret Treat Savage. Jameril Michael Sawyer. Sadie Cates Saxton. Drew Moran Sheevy. Hannah Jordan Schleifer. Julianne Emma Scholes. Yao Owusu Setre. Yunjin Catherine Seo. Catherine Fifield Serwer. Caroline Clark Shipley. Tyler Douglas Thorndike Shonrock. John Lawrence Schultz. Adam Lee Silberberg. Amy Silla. Abigail White Silsby. Isabel Amundsen Singer. Damini Singh. Bennett Sneath. Calvin Soul. Eli Spencer. Madeline Ann Squibb. Emma Yeager Stevens. Ian Patrick Stewart. Daniel Miles Strodel. Eliza Millianne Stupp. John Marshall Sweeney. Matthew Anthony Switek. Pacifica Ascatria Liana Mai Takata Glushkov. Cortland David Talmadge. Max Christopher Tanis. Ray Tarango. John Dearborn Tarleton. Franklin Taylor. Harrison Dylan Templeton. Isabel Nicole Thomas. Kyle Dominic Timmer. Marianne Tissot Rodriguez. Catherine Billings Toll. Chase Wright Tomberlin. Bianca Elizabeth Torres. Fanta Draware. Amanda Laura Trent. Owen Templeton Tuck. Pauline Marie Unitas. Stephen Allen Upton. Alexander Porter Ace. Christopher Michael Vashow. Isabella Marie Wong Vacker. Nicholas Villette. Diego Gabriel Velasquez. Elise Gabrielle Valoria. Michelle Veras. Diego Andres Villamarin. Khan Walkhan. Sarah K. Walker. Felicia Feisha Wong. Helen Song Wang. Yushin James Wang. Ian Tidrick Ward. Olivia Ann Ware. Patrick Ryan Warner. Mackenzie Ann Warren. Rowan Frost Warren. William Orion Watson. Lisette Margaret Waters. Ella Rube Weinstein. Lauren Christine Weller. Robert Matthew Whalen. Courtney Nicole Willie. Avian Kinney Williams. Matthew Williams. Tatum Childs Wilson. Benjamin Harley Wong. Ian Vaughn Woodruff. Andra Corinne Woods. Haley Noel Wozniak. Benjamin C. Wu. Dihu Wu. Silas Worth. Raylyn Young. Sarah Charlotte Gideon Euclid. James Henry Young. Gloria Zhao. Julia LaRue Zitzman. Francis DeCamp Hobart Zorensky.
Thank you. No rush, no rush. Is it me, or did it just start to get a little warm? So this is a celebration for the ages. I don't want to do it quite like this again, but I would ask everyone to give a huge round of applause and congratulations to the awesome class of 2020. We're drawing close to the end. I do want to remind folks that after the recessional, there are lunches to be picked up at the Farley Fieldhouse, behind the Farley Fieldhouse, and I invite you to do that. I would now like to invite Joyce Moulton and the former members of the chamber choir, the chorus, the a cappella groups to come forward and lead us in the singing of our alma mater. The audience, I'd ask you to please stand if you can. The words are found on the last page of your program.
Will guests please remain at their seats until the recessional march has passed? The commencement celebration is now concluded.